Good morning and welcome to a brand new edition of 15 Minutes of Flame, coming to you an hour earlier than normal. This is the way it's going to be from here on out. Hey, how about that? On the Aries moon, Aries kind of newish, the newish moon, and the second day or first day of Pisces. The fish, Pisces the fish. We are in Pisces, no more Aquarius, oh no. Aquarius is far too short for my taste. I need more Aquarius in my life. I like Aquarius. Always loved Aquarius. When I lived in California, people in California try to guess your sign. Here they try to guess what church you go to. People say, I think you're an Aquarian. You're Aquarius, aren't you? Well, that's because I had Uranus on my ascendant in California in the relocated chart. But here we are. This is the new 8 o'clock time. This is when the clubhouse will open. 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday. We're still going to do the Friday forecast at noon, just to change things up a little bit. And last night we did, of course, the live stream, which was a total party, again, over on YouTube. And that went from 8 to about 9:30. We looked at some charts. We looked at the Parkland shooting chart, and I have a new post up on my website, about 3,000 words long. I probably could have done about another 1,500 to 2,000 if I wanted to stretch that thing out, but I needed to put something up and put it up quickly as far as my summation goes and statement goes, around what I thought happened or is happening. And we're going to discuss some of that today. Because this event is a pivot event. What happened in the school in Florida is a pivot event, and it's so fascinating because we're still trying to figure out, well, is it real or is it fake? Is it real? Is it fake? Well, I'll tell you what's real is that they're going to start coming for guns rights, guns and slash rights. Those two things are together and they're separate. They're separate. The guns piece, they're gonna open barrels. This is going to be very contentious, and I'll tell you right now, the states are going to get involved, and the state of Texas is going to get involved. One would think, unless of course our governor decides to show his Zionist roots again. Although, as far as the governor goes, he's not too bad. He's certainly not Jerry Brown. Yikes. But it could be very interesting with the states in terms of what they believe and what they want, and if they're able to carve their niche out in terms of cannabis rights. I'm sure it'll come up in terms of gun rights and all that stuff. I mean, I believe this is going to be a very interesting kind of talking point for a while now. Because we just came through. If you go back, if you look at my chart, robertphoenix.com, my site, robertphoenix.com, you'll see the chart for Parkland. And what you'll notice is that Chiron is right on the midheaven in Pisces. And one of the things that I talk about is the celebration of victimization with Chiron and Pisces. And shortly after Chiron went into Pisces, we began to go through all the fill-in-the-blank strong. Boston strong, Miami strong, whatever the strong was, it was coming in strong, blank strong. And so what we were doing is we were, to a large extent, celebrating victimization. We weren't celebrating heroism. We weren't celebrating acts of courage. Being a victim became an act of courage. And so what we're seeing here with Chiron in Pisces on the midheaven is, again, this level of sanctification and the celebration of victimization as a spiritual act. Now, in some ways, it mirrors the imitation of Christ. Again, a very Piscean symbol. So I get it. Suffering, the cross, but it's taken out of its religious and to some degree spiritual context, and it's given a secularized spin. And it's kind of like, I may step on some toes here at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's kind of like the Holocaust, where instead of having one person crucified, we have millions of people crucified. And now from a cultural perspective, it carries more kind of global weight, right? Because of that. And I'm not judging it. I'm just telling you that, it's a numbers game, okay? But that's what happened with the Holocaust. It becomes a secular act of crucifixion, albeit with a lot of people. Now, with what we're seeing now, it's a kind of a similar, it's a bit of a similar spin in that it does represent like these 17 kids or 16, I think 17 people, was it 16 and 1? I have to get the facts straight on that, but 17, there'd be 17 versions of a crucifixion. And you add them to the list of all the other shootings, real or fake, or however we want to spin this thing. And now all of a sudden we have this, growing list of people and energy and, for all intents and purposes, sacrifice. And they're being sacrificed towards what end? They're being sacrificed towards creating enough energy so that the Second Amendment can ultimately be overturned. This is what the energy is being used for. Again, real or not real. And there are going to be cases of both. And I'm on the record. I'm on the record that what we saw in Miami, or didn't see in Miami, is a certain degree of staged events or staged event, because they've been having drills for the last 6 weeks. They had a drill earlier in the day. Of course, they were able to bring all kinds of footage in. They're able to insert. They're able to cut. They're able to edit. And then there's the reality that shit went down. So the game has changed. It's kind of like, the cheese got moved. And so for us to apply the same kinds of our own version of biometrics and forensics to these events just is not going to work. It's not going to work. Anyway, what we have here with Chiron on the midheaven is this kind of crucifixion model. And it's a celebration of victimization where they're going to use those lives. They're going to use those lives. They're going to use their stories to propel whatever is coming next. And what's coming next is when Chiron goes into Aries and we start to deal with issues like guns. And remember now, the United States has Chiron in Aries in its 4th house at 20 degrees. Now, we're not close to that. We're not even going to be close to that for about another, 5 years? But there will be a reckoning. There will be a reckoning in this country, and it will have to deal with violence and guns. And it's either going to come from the congressional and the Senate branch of the government, or it's going to come up from the streets. And because these people are not going to abate their plan and their program. They're not. They're going to continue to roll these things out. They're going to continue to, we didn't have these massive drills all the time, but I do remember when they started, and it was back in the 90s. And I remember this is all pre-DHS, and it was around 90, I think around 98, 99. I remember them having a big drill down in a base in Alameda in Oakland. And I thought, what the hell's going on with this? Why are they doing this? So the drills actually predate 9/11, but once 9/11 kicked in and DHS got all this funding and were able to mobilize people and do these drills over and over and over again, which is where our tax dollars go, then all of a sudden, it became it became ingrained. Just like we used to do fire drills and earthquake drills and all that stuff. But now it's big. I mean, they have them all over schools all across the country. They have them at my kid's school. They've had them there at his elementary school. And you just never know. I mean, when you're a parent, it's like I'm more concerned about when I hear that there's going to be a drill at my kid's school than anything else. It's like, oh, Jesus. What's going to happen now? Are they going to flip the switch? Is this thing going to go live? That's when I get concerned. I don't give a shit. I mean, I do. Pardon me. I do care. I care. But I care a lot more when I hear there's going to be a drill. Because it's like the roulette wheel. You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, this is a big deal. This event was a very big deal, will be a big deal, and they're going to come gunning for not just Second Amendment rights, okay, not just the Second Amendment. They're going to be gunning for other rights. And I talked about this on Friday. I talked about this last night. And I'm going to continue to talk about this until I feel like I might reach the point of oversaturation. Because I never know. I may be picking up new listeners every now and then. And I do. This is a slow and steady. I'm running a marathon here, okay? I'm that guy. I'm that guy that I saw in Atlanta in the marathon who was running sideways. And his jaw was down around his third chakra. Anyway, so it's not just about guns. We're getting into the area of preemptive action. Preemptive decision making and pulling people off the streets if they're deemed to be dangerous. The first thing they did after this event took place is they pulled Nicholas Cruz's brother off the streets for evaluation. Nobody knows when he's going to get out. He doesn't have any parents. He's living with friends of family because their adoptive mother died in November thanks to the flu casualty. Think about that for a moment. Wonder if she got the flu shot. 62 years old. That's how old she was. Anyway, so he's off the streets, and this is where this is headed. That they want to grant. They're going to want to grant broader powers to law enforcement to be able to determine if somebody is a potential threat. And how that'll be determined will be some kind of algorithm, no doubt, between social media, emails, because they can grab emails. That's all part of the NSA and FISA and all that stuff. They can just grab stuff. They say they need a warrant, and they don't know. They're just grabbing stuff. They're grabbing this right now. They're listening for keywords. And then what they do is they tranche the keywords together, and all of a sudden, ding, 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 profile time. So they're able to do that. You've got social media, real simple, real easy. And guess what else? Guess what else they'll be able to base stuff on? They'll be able to base stuff on what's going on in your home. And you think I'm paranoid? Well, you got a smart TV? Huh? You got smart appliances? Do you have an Alexa? Do you have an Echo Dot? Do you have whatever version Apple's going to come out with? Like the portable Siri? Do you have those things? Yeah. Yeah, a really good chance that they're scraping and compiling information too. You know, TVs just aren't TVs anymore. When I go into my TV, I go into YouTube. I can watch YouTube on my TV. I don't have a smart TV, thank God. It's a TV from, when did I get that TV? No, 2009 I got that TV. It's 9 years old. It's a plasma. It's a beast. I'll never be able to sell this thing. But it's okay. As long as it works, I don't care. It's 50 inches. Good picture quality. I like it. Moving it's going to be tough. But I'm giving you an idea. Now, not only that, but there's also anecdotal evidence and anecdotal data. What happens if you have some kind of domestic dispute? What if you're locked into some kind of version of family court? What happens then? And all of a sudden they're able to compile more data. And the next thing you know, they get a profile. And somebody somewhere says, let's go. Let's make it happen. And one day you get a knock at your door. Who knows? I'm doing my best not to be uber paranoid here. But this is where this is headed. And it's not just kids. It's not just kids. So when I say they're gunning for rights, I'm not just talking about your right to carry a pistol or firearm or AR-15, whatever. And good luck. Good luck trying to take them out of the hands of people that actually own some of these guns. They're not going to give them up. They will not give them up. And this will be, excuse me, this will be the turning point. And this will be the pivot probably for some kind of revolution or crackdown. And people are not going to be into it. They're just not. I can tell you right now, from the place where I live, Texas, good luck. Good luck. They'll come in with UN troops or whatever they have to do to disarm people, and it will go down. And I'm not sure who's going to prevail over something like that. The people are armed, but they're not trained per se, and they certainly are not coordinated. And these outside entities and forces are. It's what they train for. It's what they've been working on for quite a while. Anyway, I'm not here to, again, cast in a paranoia, but we have to look at what's happening here. So that's the other piece around all of this. Now, I did a lot of fact checking, fact digging. I went down some rabbit holes on Friday, most of which has surfaced in the piece that I wrote over on my website. But I found another really interesting little kind of series of posts that were quite unusual. The adult that died is a guy by the name of Aaron Feis, and he actually has a funeral coming up. If you're in Parkland and you want to pay your respects to Aaron Feis, you can go find out where. I think it's happening today, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I went to his Facebook page. He was the janitor, security guard, coach. He was this big teddy bear of a guy that everybody at that school loved. You see pictures of him with kids, and he's a big guy. You go on his Facebook page, and this dude was into guns. He liked guns. He was not just into guns. He was into... Here, let me see if I can find this thing. I still have his page up here. Let's see. Let me see if I can get one of his posts. Okay, so this is from February 12th, 2016. Suppressed belt-fed Browning quietly rains lead and brass. It's perfect for quietly sending a wall of lead downrange. And this guy's got a post on this video, and these guys have this large caliber kind of machine gun thing. He's got that on his page. What else? He has, let's see, Mounted Deuce. It's a takeoff on the Mountain Dew shirt. Mounted Deuce. It's a machine gun, mounted machine gun. What else does he have here? He's got some support for this kid who has cancer. Let's see what else. Hold on. I'm looking for a certain post. Oh, here we go. There's a little post on Scott Israel, who is the sheriff, the 4-star sheriff from Broward County, Parkland. Been sheriff for 4 years there. Here's another post. A majority of Americans support stand your ground laws. Do you? Like if you agree. This is on his page. I find your lack of ammo disturbing. Another post. Abortion does not end a pregnancy. Birth ends a pregnancy. Abortion kills a baby during pregnancy. Interesting. Does not like Cam Newton. That's clear. There's this one post I want to pull up. So let me see if I can find it. And he's not a big Bernie Sanders fan either. Let's see, he's a Christian Zionist as well. That's on. Okay, here we go. Silenced FMP 45 ACP tactical. All you hear is the slide hitting steel. He posted this post. There's going to come a day real soon when President Barack Obama gives me and my liberal comrades to go ahead and enter your homes without your permission and confiscate all your guns. That day can't come soon enough. Liberal power. And he says, this motherfucker. Oh, here it is. This is it. He's got a post from February 8th, almost 2 years ago, ironically, February 8th, 2016. Oklahoma school posts pro-gun sign to deter crime. And the sign says, attention, please be aware that certain staff members at OK public schools can be legally armed and may use whatever force is necessary to protect our students. You have 4 shares with that one. And then he has another post right after that. I am a Christian. I am a proud American. I stand with Israel. I make no apologies for the above. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And he's got an eagle. And the eagle's wings are the American flag. And superimposed over the body of the eagle is the Star of David. Next post, also from February 8th. Remember when the colonists stood in line to turn in their guns? Neither do I. Mr. Aaron Feist. Here we go. American Girls with Guns. And here's a young girl with one of those big tactical weapons. Very interesting stuff here. Very interesting. Here's another one. Oh my God, this is an IDF chick. Oh my God. Last month, she stopped a suicide bomber on her way to blow herself up. This week, at the same checkpoint, she stopped a terrorist armed with a knife. We salute you, Sergeant Rotem Shabbat. Of course, she's got a gun. Oh boy. This guy, you should check out his page. He's still there. You know what he is? He's Walter Sobchak. He's Walter Sobchak, who's actually John Milius. If you know what I'm talking about, so I'm talking about The Big Lebowski. American Girls with Guns. More posts on that. This is a fascinating website. Do you think this is going to come out in the media? Do you think they're going to go into Aaron Feist's Facebook page? In a world full of Kardashians, be a Sarah Connor. Wow. Interesting stuff. Makes you wonder who's involved here with these activities. Did he lose any friends? One of his friends happens to be... Hold on a second. One of his friends happens to be... Let me see if I can reload this. Maybe his page is still there. I hope it's still there. One of his friends happens to be Ben Meadnick, who is Alexa Meadnick's father, whom I talk about quite a bit on the post that I did. So what do we got here from 2016? So he stopped posting in 2017 and 2027. There's a whole world, a whole year's worth of no posts for Aaron Feist's Facebook page. Anyway, so this is what's going on. This is what's taking place, and you're going to hear this again and again and again and again and again. And, we have between now and Easter and April Fool's Day. I would not be surprised if we have another event coming up somewhere at a school. No, it won't be a school. I would say, because if you go to my website, read my latest post, one of the things I talk about is the places where these events have occurred. And they're usually in areas that are very, very controlled. They're very controlled areas. A school is a controlled area. You can lock a school down. You can run drills. You can control the whole thing. In Lafayette, Louisiana, it was a movie theater. In San Bernardino, it was a government building where they were running drill after drill after drill after drill after drill, right? Those people were drilling. They were drilling for oil in San Bernardino every week. That's how much they were drilling. The event in Oregon at the Clackamas Community College, again, controlled environment, inside of a room. What else do we have? Pulse Nightclub, controlled environment, inside of a room, controlled event. What else? Vegas, to some degree controlled, although a little bit out of control with Vegas. But still. And where is the footage from Vegas? And by the way, has anybody ever asked about video footage from this school? Most schools have video cameras. This school is not ancient. I think it was built in 1990. It's a fairly new school as far as schools go. They're going to tear it down now. You know that, right? They're going to pull a Sandy Hook and tear that sucker down. But I'm sure with all the money in that community, it was such a security fetish that they would have video cameras. Anybody ask? Has anybody asked if there's any video footage? Well, I'm sorry, we can't show the video footage because, well, you know, we're going to have to use it in court. And blah, 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 blah. I tell you right now, if they needed to use that video footage, they would. They absolutely would. All right, so we looked at all these places where these events take place, right? So what? But you just check the box: church, theater, school, hotel. What's next? Well, I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say a mall. I think that's where we're going to have another event. It's going to be at a mall, and it's going to be at a mall that's going to be kind of set to be demolished. It's going to be one of these, you know, these fading malls somewhere in the Midwest that's going to be torn down about a year from now. That's my best guess as to where the next event is going to happen. If I had to guess one other place, it would probably be a restaurant. Because ultimately, if you look at all those venues, they represent a certain business or they represent a certain type of activity that we go to and frequent. Church, right? The nightclub, a movie theater, and school. And so when we've had these events taking place across all these different establishments and institutions, of course, you can make a case that these places need scanners, TSA-style scanners. What has not kind of made the list are restaurants and malls. And I would assume at some point we'd have to deal with museums and other public spaces. But I would say that the next event will happen at a mall. It'll happen at a mall that's going to be closed and going to be torn down. And in the mall, you can control everything. You could control the entire event. Rarely, if ever, does anything like this really break out in public where people can actually... The Vegas thing was about as close as it gets. But you rarely see these things explode kind of organically because really they don't. They don't. They explode because they're programmed to explode. This kid, Nicholas Cruz, was a ticking time bomb. He's a ticking time bomb. Talking about hearing voices. Now, of course, the FBI is catching heat because they knew that, you know, he was on the streets and he was dangerous and blah, 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 blah. This is exactly what they want to put out. You better do a better job next time. You better pull somebody off the streets before it happens. You knew about it. It's your fault. Putting it back on the FBI. These times we're in. Let me tell you, you got to be rigorous to get through these times. You do. I know for some people, it's like, oh, my head hurts. Absolutely. This is not easy. Look, we're in a very difficult phase right now. We're in a deconstruction phase. I've been talking about this for a long time. And it is not going to be business as usual. Just not. And so you're going to have to adjust your sales accordingly. And that's the bottom line. Say goodbye to the old world. It's not coming back. The good old days will be the good old days forever. They're not coming back. And people that want to make America great again, well, if you want to make America great, maybe not again, you want to make America great, you're going to have to like wake up and smell the fucking coffee real fast. Real fast. Because we're not living in the past anymore. This isn't Jethro Tull. We're in the present, and the present is unfolding at a blindingly fast rate. And the only way that we can respond to this is to be nimble and adaptable and do our best to cut through the inner bullshit of our lives. And this is where Saturn and Capricorn can really help out and come into play. So now kids are getting involved with this whole process. I talked about this last night. They're speaking out. Kids have a right to speak out. But we cannot let them drive legislation. We cannot let hundreds of kids descend upon Capitol Hill and pluck the heartstrings of senators and congressmen and push an agenda. We don't know who these kids are. Do you remember that girl that came from Iraq? Remember her? Talking about Saddam Hussein and the babies and all that bullshit. She was a fake. She was a total fake, total plant. And that little girl, that young woman, helped start a war that we have not recovered from. One child was a significant pivot. Now think of 100 kids going to Washington, D.C. and telling their stories. We cannot have the kids driving legislature. They have not lived long enough. I'm sorry. They're not informed. They can be really bright and really well-intentioned, and they can be as clear as they think they are. But it would also cross over into manipulation in a way that we haven't seen in quite a while. Manipulating us, manipulating them. And can they be heard? Sure, absolutely. This is the United States of America. Everybody has a voice. I have a voice. You have a voice. We have a voice. Until it's silenced, we have a voice. Now, being able to speak with a voice is a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing, especially when you get into something like this, right? Because, oh, he's a gun nut. Oh, he's insensitive. No, there's something going on here. And I don't believe this kid did what he did. I don't believe it. I don't. If you want my estimation, this thing went hot and there was a hit squad that went in. That is my best estimation. And then you have the footage that they've shot and spliced where they're running drills, and the drills could be from that day, they could be from any other day. And it's all meant to throw you off. So let's do ourselves a favor. Let's disabuse the notion that nobody died. Let's just do that. Let's do that. And maybe we can focus on who the real perpetrators were of this. Okay? I think that's the best place to start. It does two things. Number one, it does honor the lives of people that have passed. And I went through a number of Twitter accounts from kids that went to Parkland, and there's real grief on those Twitter accounts. Okay? Real grief. And I'm not going to sit here and question these kids to that degree. I'm not. What I want to do is get to the bottom of who is really behind this and what the agenda is, because there is an agenda, and you know it, and I know it. And to be able to talk about it in a way that's constructive is not easy. It's a hot topic. It pushes a lot of buttons, and but it does need to be talked about. So that's what I do here. Hey, you want to take a little trip in the time machine? Want to go through the time tunnel? Let's do it. Let's get out of this time. Let's get the hell out of 2017 or 28. Where are we? 2018. Let's get the hell out of 2018. Always feels so good. Always. Hold on. Yes. Okay. We're back. Wow. Sometimes when I go through that time tunnel, it takes me a while to reassemble my atoms. It always feels so good to get out of 2018. Well, let's take a trip back into time, shall we? Let's go back to where are we here? February 19th. February 19th. You know, we're 30 days away from the first day of spring. You guys aware of that? All right. Well, let's go back in time. In 356, the good old days of 356, Constantius II issues a decree closing all pagan temples in the Roman Empire. What a killjoy Constantius II was. What else do we have here? Let's see. Okay, former Vice President of the United States. This is back in 1807. Aaron Burr arrested for treason in Wakefield, Alabama, and confined to Fort Stoddart. In 1819, the British explorer William Smith discovers the South Shetland Islands and claims them in the name of King George III. Here's a date that I'm interested in. In 1846, in Austin, Texas, the newly formed Texas state government is officially installed. Very interesting. The Republic of Texas government officially transfers power to the state of Texas government following the annexation of Texas by the United States. So, kind of happy birthday, Texas. The first group of rescuers a year later reaches the Donner Party. How'd you like to be those rescuers? Holy smokes. Get up there, have to eyeball that thing. Wow. Let's see. Thomas Edison patented the phonograph on this day in 1878. 1878. In 1884, on this day, 60 tornadoes strike the southern United States. One of the largest tornado outbreaks in U.S. history. Can you imagine that? 60 tornadoes? What would they do if 60 tornadoes hit the United States now? Holy Moses. That would be a wet dream for the climate change peeps, right? Total wet dream. They're looking at, excuse me, they're looking at 1884 and just drooling. Oh my God. Can we have 60 tornadoes? Excuse me. Let's see. Here we go. You folks down in Australia, I'm not going to keep you out of the mix. Unfortunately, on this day in 1942, the city of Darwin was attacked by 250 Japanese warplanes. Oh, this is a bad day in U.S. history. This is interesting from an astrological perspective, though. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Okay. In 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signs Executive Order 9066. Flip that 9, you get 666. Allowing the United States military to relocate Japanese Americans in internment camps. That's a Piscean deal. That is so Piscean, right? Prisons, hospitals, sanitariums, crack houses, brothels. There it is, right there. Right there. Let's start picking up Japanese people and put them in a 12th house environment, Piscean environment. Really interesting. 1945, Battle of Iwo Jima. 30,000 Marines land on the island of Iwo Jima. It's a big day. Oh, look at this. In 1949, Ezra Pound is awarded the first Bollingen Prize in Poetry by the Bollingen Foundation and Yale University. If you really want to know, Ezra Pound's one of my heroes. Yeah, that's right. Spoke out against the Federal Reserve. He spoke out. Yes, I know. He had a radio show with Mussolini because he was living in Italy at the time, Rapallo. And he did not like the Federal Reserve. He did not like World War II. He went to Washington to try to meet with congressmen and senators, and they wouldn't listen to him. Of course, they're international bankers, internationalists. So Pound wanted to expound. I'd love to hear some of his radio shows. Too bad they don't exist. He got on Italian radio and talked about fractional reserve lending and the Federal Reserve and all that other stuff. Anyway, he won the Bollingen Prize in 1949. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, yeah. The publication of Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique, 1963. Betty Friedan, the radical Aquarian, reawakens a feminist movement in the United States as women's organizations and consciousness-raising groups spread. Let's see, somebody's trying to get a hold of me on Facebook. We can wait. Finally, in 1976, Gerald Ford rescinded Executive Order 9066. How about that? Probably one of Ford's greatest achievements. There's a lot going on here, huh? Anything else? 2002, NASA's Mars Odyssey space probe begins to map the surface of Mars using its thermal emission imaging system. How about that? Let's see, any interesting births? We can go, let's see, 20th century. Today is the birthday of Millie Bobby Brown, also known as 11 in Stranger Things. Let's see, who else do we have? Let's go back into the 60s. Today is Benicio del Toro's birthday. Let's see, who else? Dave Stewart, one of my favorite baseball players. Dave Stewart used to talk like this. He had a really high voice. And you looked at Dave Stewart, and he looked like a menace. Like he was an assassin on the mountain, but he talked like this. It was really weird to listen to Dave Stewart talk. It's kind of like the lead singer for the guy, Brendan. What's his name? From Dead Can Dance. You hear him sing, he's like, whoa, oh, yeah, that really do. And then you hear him talk, and he kind of talks like this. They're Irish, they've got a bit of his Irish, Brendan Perry, a bit of his Irish accent, he talks like, but then he sounds like, the Celtic version of Pavarotti from the underworld. Life is weird that way, right? Jim Nabors was like that. Oh, Jolly G shows, and then he starts to get into his operatic voice. Humans, man, can't make this stuff up. A lot of musicians born on this day. Dave Wakeley from the English Beat, one of my favorite shows. Growing up was with the English Beat. It was their first appearance in America, and there was a place in San Francisco called the Market Street Cinema. And Joe King Carrasco opened for them. It was a great night. They were fantastic. Falco, the Austrian singer-songwriter, Der Kommissar, died in 1998. Who else? It's Roger Goodell's birthday. Yuck. Seal. Today is Seal's birthday. Very talented guy. Very, very talented. A lot of very creative people born on this day. Peter Holsapple, who is one of the members of the DBs, kind of a post-punk, new wave sort of band out of New York. Anybody else interesting? Let's see. Today is Karen Silkwood's birthday. She passed away in 1974. Jackie Curtis from Take a Walk on the Wild Side fame. Died in 1985. Born on this day. A lot of interesting people. A lot of creative people. Dwight Freeney, still playing pro football. Amazing. I think that's about it. I could go back in time. suppose, and look at some really interesting people. But that's about it. All right. Well, why don't we come back into the present? Let's come back into present time here. Wow, it's just so great to be able to escape and go back into time for, even if it's about 10 minutes. Here we are, it's 2018 again, and we are just, what's the 19th? We're 30 days away from the first day of spring, and the year is ripping by. It's the year of the dog. That just happened too. Practice some loyalty and some commitment. Those are the precepts of the dog. And go out and chase a Frisbee. Dogs and Frisbees. Gotta love it. All right. Hang in there. There will be a better day. There will be a better day. It will come at some point in time. And we don't know when that better day is going to be. But you got to be prepared for that better day, which means you got to take care of yourself. This is my mantra. This is honoring God within, right? You got to honor God within. You got to take care of you, the vessel, every single day. So take good care of yourself. Do your best to eat good food, breathe clean air, and have healthy relationships. That's important. That's so important. And a lot of us lose sight of that. So, all right. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step on what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Thanks for joining me on this first version of 15 Minutes of Flame at 8 a.m. And have a wonderful day. I'll see you 24 hours from 8 o'clock this morning.